So you might have seen recently in the 13F filings that Warren Buffett's company, Berkshire Hathaway, has bought a stake in Alphabet. Now, this news completely caught the value investing world off guard because Buffett has consistently said over the years that technology companies typically are sitting a long way outside his circle of competence. So in this video, what I'm going to do is unpack the reasons that I think are possible behind Berkshire Hathaway's brand new multi-billion-dollar position in Alphabet, and look at whether it fits into the Rule 1 strategy. Is this something we should all be doing? Just before we get started, you guys, I wanted to let you know that on the back of the packed out workshop that we did here in Atlanta in September, we decided to host another one in March, coming up right away. 2 months from now, this is a 3-day workshop. It is strictly limited to 300 people and signups are now open. So if you want to come along and learn the full Rule 1 investing approach from me live, secure your free ticket today via the link in the video description or the pinned comment, or by scanning the QR code that's on the screen. See you there. Okay, so here's the headline. Berkshire Hathaway's latest 13F shows a brand new position in Alphabet. The portfolio now includes about 17.8 million shares. It's worth about $4.3 billion with a B, which makes it the 10th largest position in the entire Berkshire portfolio. Now, this is a technology company, so that seems pretty un-Buffett-like. So I think let's dig a little deeper and let's kind of see exactly what's going on here. All right, first, Warren has stepped down from making decisions about investments, and now Greg Abel is the one who's calling the shots. And I think it's pretty fair to ask whether, a buy like this at the end of Buffett's career, a huge buy on a technology company, was that Buffett or was that Greg? And in addition, years ago, Buffett brought in Ted Weschler and Todd Combs. They each were running about $10 billion of Berkshire's portfolio. Then Combs moved on to JP Morgan to run their strategic investment group. But Weschler's still there, and he might have made the investment. It doesn't really matter, to tell you the truth, whether it was Buffett or Ted or Greg. We still have to understand the thing. And we can start by asking, why would any long-term value-oriented investor take such a large stake in Alphabet right now? All right, full disclosure. I bought into Alphabet a long time ago. I sold it at about the same time that Berkshire bought it. So note that as hard as I will try to be objective here, I do have a bit of recognized confirmation bias going. All right, so let's take a look at Google through our Rule 1 investing lenses. All right, let's start with the basics. Do I understand the business? Yeah, I did. I've been investing in it since shortly after it became a public company. And as the global toll booth for information, this is a core business. That search business, it has a huge moat, 90% of the market. And since I first owned it, they've built up YouTube. And if YouTube was a standalone company, it might be worth more than Netflix right now. And Alphabet's cloud business is growing much faster than the competitors like Microsoft's Azure and Amazon's AWS. So the company, Google, is a monster. But it isn't all that hard to understand. It's got 3 major money machine businesses. It's got $48 billion in free cash flow last year. But there's a big but here. In 2022, a competitor came on the scene that really shook up the information search industry. And that competitor, of course, is OpenAI's ChatGPT. Now, this is a large language model, artificial intelligence product. And it immediately started this war and a huge shift in consumer search behavior. It was really apparent that by asking ChatGPT a question is a lot better than, going through a bunch of links generated by a Google search. And user behavior is clearly changing. In 2025, Apple noted that there was a documented drop in Google search volumes on Safari, and that was a clear indication that users were moving off of just the simple search toward an AI search alternative. So, is Google's moat actually under attack? Well, okay, one sign of a threatened moat is that revenue growth starts slowing at the same time a competitor enters the industry. Now, Google's ad revenue 3-year growth rate from 2019 to 22 averaged 18% per year. Then ChatGPT came online in 2022. Since then, the ad revenue 3-year growth rate is averaging less than 10%, almost got cut in half. So this is exactly the kind of evidence-driven thinking that we really like at Rule 1. Buffett's always said that we should watch what the business does, not what the headlines say. And in Google's case, search revenue is still growing. Okay, their main business, search, but it may have started to wobble. And once an AI query becomes commoditized, and I think that's what's going to happen, once it's universally adopted, we got to consider the future of Google's search ad revenue is very much in doubt. And if that's true, it seems likely that it is. Well, then we've got to question how much certainty we can have about Alphabet in the future. And really, do they have the brain power and resources to replace the major source of their profits with something new by the time Google search has been technologically eclipsed? Because they got to figure out not just how to do AI with Gemini, they got to figure out how to make money on it. Okay, so let's look at what we can know. Well, we know that Alphabet definitely has the bucks to fight, right? The last 12 months, they did $385 billion in revenue. That's a 16% increase over 2024. OpenAI is a little piddly thing. They're at about $12 billion in a revenue run rate. And in terms of profit, they don't have any. They've generated about, minus $115 billion through 2029 against Alphabet's $125 billion they made in 2025. So Sam Altman is running scared a little bit right now. Just issued an internal code red that presumably came out of concern about Google's AI, Gemini, is catching up with them. These sudden changes are a really good example of why investing in technology is so much more speculative than, investing in burritos. When just a few months ago, 3 out of the 4 technology VCs on the All In podcast that I love agreed that Alphabet was in big trouble and catching ChatGPT was highly unlikely. And here we are, 6 months later, it's become a horse race that Alphabet could come from behind and win. And now OpenAI's entire future is in doubt. So just remember that the technology world is littered with formerly dominant big moat companies that got obliterated when their management just made the wrong call or just couldn't figure out how to move against competition. I mean, just listen to this. Netscape, which invented the commercial internet browser, right? They got bled out by Microsoft. Nokia didn't even see the iPhone coming even after it shipped. And then BlackBerry got wiped out. And Yahoo got smoked by a lot better idea over at Google. IBM, the massive big blue, that was once the monster of the computer industry until they got led by the wrong salesperson and they got crushed by technology advancement at Microsoft, Intel, and Amazon. Then Intel got obliterated by Taiwan Semiconductor. Now they're on government life support. And Blockbuster's CEO thought Netflix was a stupid idea till he had to close his stores. Sun Microsystem, all right, those guys owned the Unix server industry until it disappeared into the cloud. And Microsoft almost took Apple down until Steve Jobs came back to save it. And then Microsoft became dead money for a decade until it was saved by the brilliant Satya Nadella. So I could go on because the history of tech companies is a graveyard. Most fail to see that there's a future competitor charging their moat, and they don't see it even when it's right in front of them. It's just that very few CEOs have the skill set that's needed to fix a broken moat before their castle gets overrun. And there's a really good reason for it. It's not that they're not smart, they're smart. A big technological innovation can create a problem for the castle that is almost impossible for the castle to solve. Now, this challenge has a name, by the way. It's called the Innovator's Dilemma. And this Innovator's Dilemma is a situation where the dominant big moat business, the castle, puts off adopting a disruptive innovation. Not that they couldn't do it technologically, but they put it off because doing it will cannibalize its core big moat product. And if they don't adopt the new technology, that decision could result in the competitor crushing them. And that's the Innovator's Dilemma, and that is Alphabet's problem. Going full on into an LLM model the way ChatGPT is could wipe out Google Search, which is their cash cow. Now, not going into an LLM model leaves them exposed to having search get destroyed by ChatGPT and the rest of the LLM hordes that are charging the castle. So ChatGPT went from 100 million active weekly users in August of 2023 to 800 million now, 61% of the market. And in that same time, Alphabet's LLM Gemini, that went from nothing, but it's now 13% of the market. So ChatGPT is way ahead, and Alphabet is being forced to figure out how to compete without killing their cash cow. And can they do it? Well, they're doing pretty good. They're really trying hard. But the fact is, nobody knows for sure what's going to happen. And this one fact argues that Warren didn't make the purchase. I mean, he's famous for his determination to be certain about the future of a business. And Alphabet's future is, I don't know, it's speculative. So let's pull all this together. Now, the unwashed AI hordes are charging across Google's search moat with LLMs. They aren't all the way across into the castle yet, but it's clear that the only way to beat them is to join them because that moat is going to go. There's just too much effort on that other side. So Alphabet has several wonderful businesses. That's great. Search is starting to struggle, but YouTube is a standalone business worth more than Netflix. Cloud, rocket ship growing at over 30% a year. And their balance sheet, a massive fortress level. And if they can keep its cash flow going, they just might have the financial strength to win the entire AI arms race. Certainly wouldn't want to bet against them and short them or something like that. So, obviously somebody at Berkshire thinks this is a wonderful business at a fair price. And let's not forget that the number of companies that Berkshire has to choose from that can move the needle are very few. So very few choices. Maybe they got to take something they don't really know or really want. Hard to say. They have to deploy billions of dollars to make any difference at all in their returns, and there just aren't that many stocks that are big enough. Alphabet's one of them. And that leads me to my next point. Alphabet could just be a place to park some money that looks better than short-term treasuries. I mean, remember, Berkshire has $340 billion sitting there, and while Alphabet may not be a home run deal, it maybe just represents a better option over in the long run than keeping money in short-term T-bills. So, okay, that begs me another question. Why did I sell it? When Apple came out and said search is going down a bit, that made me uncertain about whether Alphabet will be bigger and better in net earnings in 10 years. AI has changed the Alphabet story in a big way. And I lost my edge on this one, so I think it's time to take profits, be ready to watch this stock price do what it does every time I sell, which is go straight to the moon. So it won't be the first time or the last time because it's a discipline that lets me sleep at night. I've got hundreds of millions out there in the market, and rule one isn't about making insane returns on growth stocks. That's not my game. It's about being as sure as possible that we don't lose money. And if we do that part right, so far in my career, the upside always eventually takes care of itself. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I mean, I'm really interested in protecting. You go with Google, you might be really interested in making a ton of money. I don't know. But if you're interested in learning the full Rule 1 Warren Buffett style investment approach from me and my team, man, I would love to invite you to our next 3-day Rule 1 investing workshop. We teach the full 4-pillared investing approach that's been successful for over 90 years now. This is a great family of investors, and we've taught this strategy now to over 25,000 people all around the world. And we aren't exactly like those other workshops. You know how they go. They start into something and then they upsell you and never really teach you anything. They just get you into their courses. We just teach. This is 3 days of just teaching, no selling, zero. And the stats don't lie. Our participants love this workshop. We get NPS scores that beat even Harvard and Yale. In fact, our last workshop got an 85 NPS score. Try that with your product. So if you'd like to get serious and really take charge of your financial future, you guys, then come on, join us at the next event. The details for that can be found in the description or in the pinned comment. And also, you can just scan that QR code that's on the screen. And with that said, thanks for watching. Now go play.